Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the serious Tragedy Gamer and we're returning to War in the East, our little let's play of Germany in the operation against Moscow. So it's the second turn and we're just about to enter the Soviet turn over here because we have moved all of our forces. I'm gonna switch over here to change the view so that we can see which territory is technically theirs, which is ours. And we have cut these guys off down here, although I suppose that's not gonna hold out. More importantly, we have cut these guys off, we have cut these guys off, some over here, and I do hope that that will hold a little bit. One other thing I did in between episodes is, well, firstly, I thought about hard. How are we going to advance on Moscow? So, next turn there will be mud. The turn afterwards, it's going to be mud. The third turn, I'm not sure. It might be snow already, it might already be mud. Either way, once the snow comes, we will be able to move again. During the mud, there's no chance whatsoever of advancing really far, so that is going to have to wait. But as soon as the mud clears and the ground freezes over a little bit at least, we will be able to make our last dash on Moscow, and I think that is what we'll want to do. At least cut them off, if not potentially even attack them completely. They are very heavily fortified up over there. They do have an enormous... How can they have so much forces? A Guards Rifle Division over here. Terrible. Okay. So if we want to have any chance of that, we do need to prepare ourselves right now, I believe. And one thing that we're going to do is we are going to ask the 27th Corps of the 9th Army over here to get a little bit more support. So adjusted the support level here upwards so that it has more artillery, more engineers and so on. And likewise the 5th Corps of the 3rd Panzer Group is also going to prepare to make some dash towards over there. And to that end, this unit here is even set to refit, so it's hopefully going to receive some unit upgrades. It's going to recover some of its fatigue and repair some of its damaged units. It is sitting on the railway line, which is coming up here, so that I do hope is going to be okay. Actually, can I move you up? Yeah, I can. Why don't I do that? I should. Okay, let's get you into here. So that's fine. So we are covering the requirements there as well, and that should be pretty fantastic. All other units I did set up to receive a lot less supply actually. So sorry, actually the core here. These support levels have gone down significantly to either 2 or even 1 in many cases. So that should hopefully free up some forces so that we are able to bring up more forces against Moscow here. So, without further ado, I think we can go up to the Russian turn now. Oh, one thing I do want to see before that is the losses actually here this turn. So, just to see, the Soviets lost 350,000 men. We lost 20,000. Most of them disabled, so they might be returning. Whereas the Soviets really lost, most of them, 300,000 men captured. And that is going to be great because these guys are, to some extent, going to return as people for, so as working forces for us. And we have also captured over 1,400 vehicles, which is pretty good. We only lost 46, well, 70 vehicles, really. So that is very good that we have captured quite a bit over here. Do we see what that is? Well, probably we can see that somewhere, but I don't want to wait that long. So let's end the turn over here and see what is going to happen. So, firstly, Soviet logistics turn. You do see it from their perspective now. This is the advance that we made over here, so a lot of these fields are changing to our legions. We're gonna have to see just whether or not we'll be able to bob these things here during the mud season. I think that's gonna be a little bit complicated. End of logistics period, so now we might see the Soviet counterattacks. Let's see what they're gonna do. I'm kind of terrified. So this is just a recon mission. They are not losing anything, we are not losing anything. No losses over here. Gonna skip through the recon. It's just low-key anti-air stuff. Some movements. Let's see. This is an interdiction mission. 20 of our bombers, mostly U-88s, are interdicting some Soviet forces. Not doing any damage really, but at the very least disrupting their ability to fight. They're bringing some fighters over here, but again, no decisive losses either way. More interdiction. Interdiction is not the most important, it's just basically them moving. And they have cut into... They have cut over here our line. That is actually pretty bad. More interdiction. This time they're losing at least a fighter and a couple of men. They are starting to lose a couple of fighters, but it's I-16, so really very early war fighters. Not that great for them, not that great a win for us either. So yeah, we're gonna have to see about that. Yeah, they're also getting out of this encirclement over here that we did provide there. Oh, here's an actual attack, so let's pause and see what's happening here. So we have got 25,000 people attacking our 5,000 guys up over here. So they're doing a counterattack here on the gates of Moscow, and that is pretty bad for us. We're losing 80 men. They are losing 1,000 men. They are bringing in some fighters. We do not respond with any fighters. That is a little bit bad. But they are losing 5 bombers nevertheless. I think to anti-aircraft fire then. Probably. So that's pretty good. Combat value adjusted is what? Is 700 to 60. So that probably means we are going to hold, I believe. Come on. No, we are retreating. Okay, retreat. Oh no, of course, the Russians do get a modifier there. But you know what? Retreating is fine. We just wanted to get here, I think, to disrupt some of their air units anyway. So that is going to be fine. As long as these guys are not breaking out over here, that would rather be bad. And yeah, now I do expect the mod to set in. And that's going to be not that great for us at all. We probably also took some retreat losses, I would believe. There's an argument to be made about attacking this area here so that we can just dig in behind this river here a little bit more. But probably not during the mod. So mod season should be ending now and we should be getting into our turn. Yeah, there we go. So some losses. We lost, just during the logistics phase, we lost another 5,000 men. So it's lost 16,000, 11,000 killed due to attrition, mostly, I believe. Man, this is hard. This is hard for them as well. Right, and this very beautiful graphic here means there is mod. And mod is obviously very bad for us. I do think we can see that. So if we do zoom in, you can see basically all of our units have exactly a combat power of 1. And a very, very limited ability to move anywhere, and that movement is also going to be exhausted. And honestly, I think this is a horrible picture, so let me toggle the weather graphics off here with Shift D, and that looks better. But we do know that there's mod everywhere, and mod is pretty bad for us. So yeah, let's see what we can do. I think mostly the mod turns here are going to be at the time when we do try to rest up. We're not going to try any big offensives over here. Maybe only very limited approaches in some way. So some units are still encircled here. These guys have unfortunately broken out. Pretty much all of these forces here have managed some way of retreat as well. So that is a little bit unfortunate for us. We do see a somewhat consolidation down here. That is okay. And I would also like to see the rail link. And you can see one thing that is happening is that the rail lines, which have only been built up to here, their supply only now reaches very, very, very short range, and that is mostly due to the mod, because simply said, our supply just doesn't reach as far as we would need it to. So that is pretty bad for us, obviously, and we do need to bring our supply a little bit forward, and I think a little bit here to the north as well. So let's start out with that actually. Let's pick our trusted railway repair units here. And I do only want to select you, move you up here, repair, move you up here, select you, repair, and I suppose we cannot really build directly up into there, so we need to move here, and you're now out of movement points, so that is another issue. You're not really able to bring up this railway link quite as far as we would need to. Still, every little bit helps, and I think there are also probably a lot of construction units now that are part of the Army Group Center, for example. Yeah, you should be seeing a lot of construction units over here. It might even be a little bit more than we would be asking for, but I guess we can increase the support level here because it would really be helpful to build up more of those guys. Right. How about in the south? I think our railway line must be somewhere over here. Yeah. Right, there it is. So these guys, again, do probably just want to bring this up a little bit more to this area over here. So let's do that. Build that up like this. Come up over here, do repair, and then move down here. And again, it's a very short way that we are pushing that out. Basically only 2 fields. And that does feel like very, very little, since all of these guys down here will be very much out of supply. There's only going to be extremely little supply flowing into that direction. So that means these mob turns are going to be relatively light, I believe. And if we do have a look at the victory points, there is no victory point actually here at Kursk. So what I'm debating in my head is whether we should be pulling back behind this river, the Dashna. Reasoning being that we are pretty much out of supply here anyway, so there's no point in us staying around here. And just this river might be a little bit more sustainable compared to this one. But now there are very little forces by them down here either. But it would be good to get into dug-in position and just be able to source a little bit more supply, get these guys to rest up a little bit more. I think that would be a very fantastic way, but even pulling back seems to be quite hard here, with all of these units being so low on organization. And these guys here are basically out of fuel, which obviously is an issue. So let us actually... Oh, okay, first we do need to do some reconnaissance, so let's use the AI on that. Simply going to exit through all of these. We're just going to lose a couple of aircrafts doing that. Probably going to shoot down a couple of aircrafts as they are trying to intercept those. That's not going to be very decisive either way. It's just giving us more intel, and I usually like the AI to do that because then I don't need to. Right, so that didn't do much for us down here though. What I do want to do down here though is select this. So select this and ask this to be resupplied, which I believe is this thing here. Yeah, so we are bringing in a little bit of fuel via 30 transport units, and that's fantastic. These guys here are nearly out of fuel, but not quite as badly. And now we have no movement point on this guy. Well, that's pretty bad. Okay, let's bring up you this way over here. We do actually need to rest up with these guys, but we'll not be able to do that anytime soon, which is a problem. And I think I'd like you to move down here, cover this area at least. Bring you into here. These guys should actually advance a little bit, but just so that our line is not horribly broken. Okay, you did move up. You can move up. So where's our rail link? Do we have a rail link over there? No. So even strategic redeployment is going to be extremely difficult. And we must either move to Gomel or up here. I think moving up there is the preferred alternative here, so let's take our cavalry at the very least. And these guys on the other hand should get down here, I believe, so that we are forming, establishing basically a line down here along this river, and that I think is what we're going to do over here with these guys. Well, you're a little bit behind, aren't you? Okay, let's move you down here. You are reporting to the 52nd Corps? Oh, sorry, that's just you. And you've got, what, 4 units that are reporting to you. That is one of them. There are 2 more. Bring it to here. You. But you do need to come down here in some way. Right, and then we've got one of you. That's probably you. Yeah, 52nd Corps. Let's move you up here. Just bring you a little bit forward. And that I think should be fine. Definitely do want to get into Gomel. I think for now that's not going to be possible. Bring you a little bit back here so that at least you're guarding these guys. You're part of this. Well... Can I bring you into Gomel? Not really. Can only bring it closer. I think that's going to be fine. You two guys are basically going to form the defense line at the Mel and adjacent areas. Bring the headquarter there as well, which I think is going to be fine. Yeah, and then these guys here, again, we couldn't really entrap them, so that is a pity. Not that much, I suppose, that we can do about this. How about you? You only have two units that do belong to you. And I think you ultimately need to be able to respond to any incursion up here in the north. But probably want to send you down here then. Yeah, we can't. Well, we could safeguard on this front. I think that's going to be fine. Right, so one thing I do want to find out is these guys we did put on refit. So I think their fatigue has reduced very nicely actually, and you actually received quite a bit of stuff there. So I wonder, can we see that in the administrative screen over here? So firstly, next screen is going to be Mutt. Second Panzer Division is isolated. Okay, we do need to take care of that. There are some table of equipment upgrades, so these guys are basically getting to a new standard over here. Some air wing arriving in the National Reserves, that's nice to see. Some aircraft upgrading, and these are proper upgrades, so they're not downgrades or anything due to missing equipment. That's nice to see. A couple of pilot training missions flown, that's also good to see. Lots of productions, we don't need to care about that much that much. This is very nice here to see. 24,000 Heavies recruited, so that means these are Soviets that are helping us out, and that is basically I think 8% of the people that we've captured. So 300,000 men captured and 24,000 Heavies, so that's pretty good, I think. Right, ground conversions, we are converting a couple of Panzer III Gs to Panzer III Hs. That's nice. Some other stuff. A lot of captured equipment being converted, that's also good to see. Spending a lot of armament points on that. A lot of units are starting to swap some units, so for example some 37mm anti-tank guns are swapped to 40mm ones, and I'm wondering whether these are probably captured. Yeah, so we are seeing some captured equipment being used over there. Likewise over here, the BA-10, apparently we are using a lot of that right now in very many of our infantry divisions. Also some GAZs and some T-34s. The 7th Panther Division is swapping its Panzer IIIs to 34s, so that's interesting to see. We'll need to have a look at that, I think. And then there's a lot of other production going on, so let's have a look at the 7th Panzer Corps and the 2nd. So 7th Panzer Division, are you a part of this one? It's going to be hard to find it this way. Let's do it this way over here, I think. So these are all of our units in some order that I do not understand, but here we are with the 7th Panzer Division. So yeah, you indeed do use 2 T-34s. Fantastic, interesting, good stuff. It's a good tank, I think, and it's probably going to get more as time goes by. You can see the table of equipment. It's supposed to have 105 medium tanks. It only has 63 right now. Certain other elements are missing as well, such as self-propelled flak guns, heavy anti-tank guns. Some of this stuff is just missing. But I think the 7th Panzer might also be one of the units that just switched over to a new template, wasn't it? No. Okay, so you're just exhausted from equipment failures and everything else. Okay, we'll need to keep that in mind. Right. Oh, I think one item that we might want to check is your fatigue over here. Well, you're fine actually. Okay, so let's see whether we can bob these guys. Oh, we can actually advance into here. That's nice. We're pretty much out of supply there, but I think it's still alright to do this. Simply so that we can defend behind this river line here a little bit better. And that should be fantastic actually. Right, so that's nice to see. I suppose you could also... What have we got over here? Hills. No, rough terrain. Light woods. Let's move up. I think that's going to be alright. This is rough terrain, rough light woods. You really can't pass, I think. Impassable to the west, yeah. So if we go up here and you go up here, we are basically safe. I mean, we've lost our fortifications, but I think this is well worthwhile. Because you are now simply need to defend against this direction. And actually, we might want to think whether if at some point we can, we might want to take this town here. It's only a small town, but still it might be useful. Can you? You could cross the river, but I don't think this is a much better defensive line, so we're not going to do that. We do have a lot of logistics points, though, administrative points, and that means to me we should think about the headquarters situation over here and see about the command penalties, because Army Group Center simply has too many units, and that means we should shift some of the Army Group Center units, armies basically, to the Army Group North, and I think one of them that would be a very good fit is the 9th Army over here, so that we can pass more checks. But I cannot shift you. I think the administrative costs for that would be too high. So we'll probably need to save up a little bit more even. Oh well, let's see about that. Right, and can we do any attacks over here that are meaningful at all? So firstly, you could come forwards. You could attack, but it seems like this would be a very bad attack for us. Likewise, over here, these attacks, just judging by the numbers, they wouldn't be that great for us. But are we trusting these numbers, or do we want to start to push in and just see what's going to happen? So I think what we could do is just try to do an attack over here. Could at least do a deliberate attack. Can you join into this deliberate attack? You can. So you'd be coming in from two directions. One of them would be across a river, but I think we're going to try. We've got 28,000 men against 5,000, but they are holding out. And that is pretty much... Let's pause over here for a second. That is pretty much due to our modification being basically nil. Theirs is a little bit reduced. But they are dug in. It's muddy, so yeah, we don't really have any success over here. We are losing a fighter, they are losing a fighter. Other than that, they're losing more men, but I suppose this is not going to be enough. We could try to attack again. Could only be a hasty attack. I'm reluctant to use a hasty attack over here. Let's try one more time. 16,000 men? No, no, by far not. We're really exhausting ourselves without doing any damage here. This is not how we can win this war. Okay, let's do capture this rail line though. At least it's going to prove to be helpful, I believe. You should potentially get back to this area here so that they cannot break out at the very least. So do we want to try our luck with our tanks and just try to attack into here? I think eventually we do need to do things like that. Okay, let's bring you over here. Try and attack over there. 11,000 men against 7,000 men, with basically zero combat power on either side. Okay, bring you up over here. Do another attack. 15,000 men. Yes! That is good enough, and they are surrendering. But it's only 7,000 men surrendering. Oh, this is so bloody. Okay, let's try to do more over here. 15,000 men against 4,000. They are surrendering, and they are elite unit. No, they are retreating. Interestingly enough, even though they are cut off. Probably due to them being elite, actually. Okay, can you get into here? Yeah, you could, but you wouldn't really be able to do more than that. Okay, if we bring both of you over here, I think we can at least do something. 30,000 men against 23,000. Not really. Not that helpful over here. How are you? You only have one unit there that is capable of doing much damage. Could bring you in, although that would be a penalty. Simply because you do belong to a different unit. You guys can move up further, but again, not really that useful. We basically want to bolt these guys so that we can free up all of these units. But I don't see that happening right now, so kind of reluctant to... Okay, firstly let's bring you here. That's you. And then the tank unit. The tank unit can get over here, so that at least we are squeezing them in very neatly. Yeah, and I suppose we cannot do much further damage here. Can at least bring you forward. Put the tank into here. That's a rifle and a guard division. Okay, let's try. Yeah, this is mud. This is the frustrating element of not being able to budge them in at all. Like really, no use whatsoever in any of our advances. So that is a big issue. And you are now isolated. Is that right? Yeah, that's the 2nd Panzer Division. You must be suffering pretty badly. Ooh, you have basically no fuel. Yeah, so we do need to do something about that as well. And our supply situation isn't great in any of these locations. And we cannot break through over here simply due to their strength. Ah, frustrating. Very, very frustrating. Okay, so our focus here is going to be to form defensive lines. Let's continue to do that then here from the south. I know I'm jumping a little bit all over the place. But the reason for that is simply so that we can use our forces appropriately and just make sure that we're not missing something by doing something over there. And then what I'm trying to say is that the front line, there's always some implications of what you're doing at one place and will have implications for other places as well, and that's why you sort of need to balance what you're doing. How can you not go any further than 2 steps? Because you have no fuel, that's why. Jesus. Just look at how open we are to attack over here. And how little we can move with all of these panzer groups. And they're probably not going to get more supplies next turn either, because again, they seem to be too far away from our railheads. This is going to be an issue. Okay, so let's try to deal with this issue then. You guys are fine over there. You belong to this corps, so let's move you up. At least be on the same page there. Down here, you are belonging to the 48th Panzer Corps. That is this one, in fact. That's all good. 48s, you do directly... Ooh, damn it. This is... Wait a minute. This is a 48? Yeah. And we've got the 47s. Jesus. So both of these I think I want to keep here for the moment. And not going to move them back or anything. Just going to keep them where they are. These tanks here can potentially move back, pull back a little. So little fuel. Okay, but we do need you to come towards this direction as well. If we are not regaining any fuel here, we are going to be in big trouble. 14, yeah, you're using so much of your fuel even to move it around just a tiny bit. That is a big issue. Okay, let's pull back over here. I think we're going to have to resupply some of these guys from air as well. Which I don't particularly like, but that's simply what is going to have to happen. Especially you. You will need to retreat. But likewise this guy up here. Okay, you are commanding 3 units. This, and that. Okay, let's move up the blue units first, I think. That's going to be good enough for us. Where are our rail lines again? Yes, we do have some down here. Ultimately, we might want to have to bring them up to the north rather than any further to the south. Although, if we are sort of giving up this terrain, I think this here might develop organically, closer towards our supply lines here. So that might be okay. Gomel, I'm worried about though. So probably do need to bring this up a little bit closer towards, at least over here. Yeah, I think that's gonna be what it has to be the case. Right, so yeah, again, let's bring these guys up as far as possible, which is not very far at all, it seems. Come on. Just the 2 infantry units. How far can I get you? Only up to here. Amazing. Okay, and you're being commanded by this guy. You can move up to this town here, and that's fine. Then there's another unit here. So this is the 20th Corps. And you are part of this, so let's get you into this group as well, and that where Nike at least collects these guys, even though some of you could move up a little bit further. And then you are 4 units, that's these 4 guys, sort of. Okay, let's bring you here. You guys also going to move up there, that's fine. Can you move up further? You cannot, so that's fine as well. And you're what? Which one? The 7th Corps. Let's get you towards over here, which I think is going to be enough so that you can supply from that area. Okay, so at least we're bringing the infantry forward. That will ultimately allow us to bring the tanks a little bit towards the rear, and I think that's going to be important. Right. Trains will need to refit so that we can go ahead and start our attacks. Really, you have no movement points. Did I just use you for anything? You have some movement points. Not that many though. Why are you moving this way? Why are you not directly moving over here? This is weird. Okay, you were coming from there, sorry, never mind. And you are also part of this, so why could I not move you over? Weird. Okay, let's get you over here so that we have a resemblance of a defensive line. We do have supplies coming in from over there, so I think in fact if we do bring you here, be close enough to the supply lines and be able to resupply all of your units, that I think is the most important thing here. You can see that these guys are also pushing out some of the ancillary rail lines over there, at least towards over here. And yeah, that's good to see. At least we're also building up a little bit here in the north, a little bit there in the south. The south is really what's worrying mostly. Me worrying mostly. Good, okay, so that means we are now free to move up a lot of these tanks, specifically the pink group. These guys here seem to be locked, especially our 3rd Panzer group, and it feels so bad to just leave them hanging there. Likewise, I would really like to move up a couple of these guys here, and I think that's what we're gonna have to do, simply try to move them around over here and bring the tanks, pull the tanks back to our supply lines around Vyashma, I want to say, and be able to resupply our units here. I think we should actually see that, yeah, these guys are on fairly good supply, as you can see, pretty much mostly because they are so close to the railway line. And they have, these are the ones that are now receiving the BA-10 armored cars, so the ones that we have been converting. So that's good to see, but of course not going to be enough. Yeah, and firstly, I think what we're going to do is we're going to pull you down here. You're still going to be in contact, likewise here though. But where is our railway line actually? It's coming down there and there. Well, this might be marginally closer towards our objectives. I think you're fine there, so we're actually going to use this guy here. And we are going to resupply you. hopefully a little bit of fuel. Yeah, we do have some Junkers left. We're using some fighters. We have lost the Junkers. That's bad. But at least now this guy... Come on. This guy should have some fuel. 10% only. It's not a lot, but it's at least a little bit. And likewise, I think it might make sense to resupply... you. Also bring in fuel. Some Junkers, mostly other fighters though. That's good to see. Yeah, and now you have at least a little bit of fuel, which might allow us to bring in towards the railway line. So, that being said, I think we're going to pull some of our units. Can I not move up any at all? Does it actually make sense to try and hold on to this railway line? I think not. We might actually pull back all the way over here and then bypass Kaluga in the north and just prepare for a big fat strike from Vishnya towards Kaluga and Orishniev towards Moscow. But just basically shorten our line, pull all of our pink units up towards over here to the area where we definitely can resupply. Likewise, I do want to pull in the green units, but that is going to have to wait until next time. So for now, thank you very much for watching. Do leave a like and all of that, and I'll see you again next time. Bye bye.